Okay, guys. So, well, or me, whatever. Anyway, so I am going to be recording basically me reading the website of SCI Companion. I'm doing this mainly for myself so that I can learn how to use the engine. As you can see, there is a lot of um, chapters, so I am going to separate them uh, between them. Like, I'll do the overview, and I don't know if I should. Wow, the getting started, there's a lot. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll probably split them up to multiple videos, so. Okay. I may have to pause it so that I could get some water if I need it. But anyway, so SCI Companion. SCI Companion is a fully featured development environment that lets you view, modify, and create games that run on Sierra Online's SCI engine, which was the um, SCI Studio engine that was made. I can't remember. Oh, AGS. AGS was no, not AGS. I can't remember. But SCI, I think, was the second engine. What's it? Interpreter. That's it. That's what the I stands for. Sierra. I can't remember what the C stands for. Sierra something interpreter. I can't remember. Anyway, the same engine used for King's Quest, Space Quest, and Leisure Suit Larry and more. It follows in the footsteps of SCI Studio by Brian Provalencio. Ooh, Italian. But provides a more complete and streamlined workflow and full support with VGA games, which is good because that's what I want to make. And you can see here's the audio and all that crap. So let's see, features. Among the improvements over the SCI Studio are integrated sound resource support, much easier to use picture and view editors, and I agree that it is easier to import graphics. Full support for 256 colors SCI 1.1 VGA games, including digital audio and speech and lip syncing. Superior image and importing functionality, which I already mentioned. A decompiler that can nearly reconstruct the original source code of these games. A much more powerful script editor and with autocomplete and symbol navigation. I think it's supposed to be simple, but whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, support for browsing and extracting resources from 640 to 480 SCI 2.0 games. Requirements: SCI Companion should work with Windows XP and above. Thanks. This is IDE was inspired by the original SCI Studio by Brian Provalencio, and I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. It also leverages much more technical expertise from Scum VM project. I don't know what leverages means. Maybe it's anyway. Those involved with SCI support and Scum VM also, such as Lars Scovelund, and of course the very dedicated community of the SCI programming.com cloudy musically inspired collector Kawa Omar and others. Okay, so that's the feature. Now let's do system requirement. Oh, thanks. Okay, alright. Overview's done. Getting started. Let's do this. Well, like I said, we're going to be doing this. Okay, so let's see. Getting started. We'll start with getting started. Okay. Opening an existing game. To open an existing game, choose the file open, the game's resource map file. It can only open, by the way, I mean, this is what it says, but I'm just letting you know. If there's no resource map file, you cannot open it. That means that this mostly is for VGA games. You can open some EGA games, but most of the older ones, you definitely can't open CGA games because CGA games do not have this. Let's see. Yeah, I can't remember what the other program is called, but anyway. Okay. So, where was I? Oh yeah. The game should then be open to SCI Companion, and you should see different resources in the game. SCI games come in many different versions with different features. SCI Companion should be able to automatically detect the various features of the game. Broadly, there are these versions of the SCI Interpreter. SCI 10 was used for games like King's Quest IV, Space Quest III, and it supports 220 and 200 EGA graphics, MIDI, sound, music, and player. Enters text commands to control the game. SCI 1 was used for the games such as King's Quest V. Excuse me. Refreshing. And Space Quest IV. It supports 320 by 200 VGA graphics and point-and-click interface, as well as digital sound effects. SCI 1.1 was used for games such as Leisure Suit Larry 6, King's Quest 6, and Space Quest V, as some improvements over SCI 1, including the support of actor speech. See, that's important. SCI 2 was used for games such as Gabriel Knight and King's Quest VII. It is a 32-bit engine that supports 640 by 480 SCI Companion, offering support to this version. Also, if it's not apparent, so like Gabriel Knight and King's Quest VII, and like other games like Torrens Passage and whatnot, Leisure Suit Larry 7. Wait, can you do it? Leisure Suit Larry 7 I don't think works with this. I'd have to check. I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Which really sucks, because you'd think that King's Quest 7, which is sort of animated similarly, would also work, but it doesn't, because I have a friend who is an animator and worked on Leisure Suit Larry 7, and he actually wants to fix some of the animation mistakes that he did years ago that he would love to fix and put back into the game, but he doesn't know what program he could use. And I don't mean like using Adventure Game Studio and redoing the game. Like, what engine could he possibly do to fix those animations and then import them back into the game so they can play them? I don't think you could do it with this, but I don't know if this program is getting continuous support, and if it is, maybe they will add a expansion and it'll support Leisure Suit Larry 7. Anyway, but Leisure Suit Larry 6 SVGA will also work with this, hence the speech thing. Anyway, these versions are marked bold. Above are those with the SCI Companion support creating the game. Maybe they'll show a list. In reality, the difference between SCI 0, SCI 1, SCI 1.1 are a bit muddled. Some games are a mix. The differences are mostly with technical resources and reflections, though. Maybe I do. I don't know if I could use I don't know if I have to actually have like an SCI 0, or if this one that I'm using now, which is the most recent one, if it'll do all of them. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So, let's see. Resource management. The first thing you see when you open a game will be the Explorer tab. It will show a series of buttons according to the different types of resources in the game. Click on them to see those resources. From each resource tab, you can select individual resources and open them by double-clicking. Previews are available for some resources. Via right-click menu, you can also delete or export or give resources names. And I love that they have pictures, because this is actually really important. Now these names right here, see how it says N006? These are kind of important because they're associated. I don't know that much about them, but we're going to get to that. But I think they're important. But yeah, you can delete, you can add, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. New resources can be created using the buttons on the top mini toolbar or in the File New menu. I may do other videos where I actually show me using the program while doing this. So yeah. You can also import individual resource files by dragging them into the resource viewer, also using the File Import Resource menu item. Okay, I'm just going to say something. Now, I have been tinkering with some of these things, and I have been trying to drag and drop some of my sprites, essentially, my sprite sheet. And when I dragged and drop, when I put them in there, they put them in as an entire sheet instead of separating by frames. So I got it. Hopefully, while I'm reading this, I will hopefully be able to figure out what I'm doing wrong there. So anyway, resource numbering. Resource numbers are very important. This is how resources are accessed in the game code. So see, that's why you need to specify. That's how you identify each resource, animation essentially, or background. It is uniquely identified by its type and its number, 0 to 99. In SCI 0, and 0 is 65535 in SCI 1 plus. When you save a newly created view or other resource, you will be asked to give it a number, an optional name, and an optional name. If it conflicts with the existing resource that of that type number, you'll be asked if you wish to overwrite it. You can save an existing resource under a new number by opening the resource in an appropriate editor and then using the file save as. Resources can be given names when you save them or by renaming them in Resource View. The names are only in SCI Companion. Gotta clean my glasses, I can't see. As convenient way to identify resources, especially useful for those resources without visual representation like sounds. Okay. Resource types. SCI Companion shows the following kinds of resources as part of SCI games. Views. These are the raster graphics and correspond to the actors. So actors, they use basically actors as basically like sprites, essentially. Or non, oh wait, props and other animated or non-animated objects in the game. So yeah, all the graphics, everything that's animated, backgrounds, you know, all this stuff, all the little objects are in views. Pics. These are the backgrounds. Genuinely, EGA 16 color games use vector graphics, and VGA 256 colors uses raster graphics. So yeah. Anyway. Scripts. These contain the logic for the game. The actual script data is compiled and non-human readable for SCI Companion has fully featured script compiler. It also has a decompiler that can attempt to recover as much as possible the original script of the game. Opening a script resource will open the source code file if it exists. Very helpful. And very interesting to read, actually, if you read about all the text and stuff like that. Really gives you a good overview on how it works. Messages. SCI 1.1 messages resources largely replace text resources. These are basically the things the narrator or in-game character says, or anything else in the game's UI. I don't know what UI means right now. Hopefully it'll come up. They integrate with the narrator's talker system. Excuse me. In the game, and can optionally be associated with spoken text. These are MIDI-based music and sound effects. Hold on, I'm having, I have throat problems, so, anyway. Let's see if that lozenge helps. Okay. Okay. Sound. These are MIDI-based sound, music and sound effects. Vocab. These are used for various purposes. The main one will be concerned with the vocab .000 in SCI 0 games. These compressed words that are in the game's text parser understands. So yeah, that's the vocab is mainly for the text interface games. Like the EGA games and the CGA games, where you have a text parser and you have to type it in. And this is the part where it understands the vocabulary so that it can implement the functions in the game that you are typing, if it is within the vocabulary parameters. Fonts. Bitmap fonts used to display text in the game. So it's just a different font for the game's text. Cursor. Mouse cursor resources. These are only used for SCI 0 2 color and SCI 1 3 color, and SCI 1.1 views use for the mouse cursor. Patches. These are needed for various MIDI drivers. SCI Companion does not support editing them, nor should you need to. I love that. Nor should you need to. Anyway, palettes. For VGA games SCI 1 and above, these are the color palettes. I don't know if you can change them, or if they're just built into the hardware or whatever. Audio, SCI 1.1, these are the digital sounds. SCI 1 supports digital audio also. It is embedded in the sounds resources. And SCI Companion does not support editing that aspect of sound resources. Speech is also digital audio, but is accessed through the message resources. Okay. So it's right here. That's for that. Heaps. SCI 1.1 scripts were split into logical and data. Heap resources contain the data of SCI Companion. Takes care of creating these automatically when you compile, so you don't have to worry about them, apparently. There are a few other types, but these are not shown in SCI Companion's user interface. In particular, map, audio 36, digital sound, and sync 36, lip syncing resource exists in SCI 1.1. These are tied to the message, though, and are managed through the message editor. Add new resources. SCI 0 and SCI 1.1 works slightly different when it comes to adding resources. The format of resource and map files in the SCI 0 allows it to be used almost like a version control system. That is, you can add new resources while keeping the old ones around. Now, again, the reason why I'm kind of reading this is because I'm trying to see if I could absorb some of the information, but since I tinkered with it a little bit, I have a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So I will have to review this a lot. Anyway, the game itself will only see the new one, but SCI Companion will still show the old ones and allow you to edit them and save them as new resources. Okay, so the game itself will only see the new one. Huh. Using tools, rebuild resources will rebuild the resource map and the resource packaging and remove any old unused resources, which is nice. SCI 1.1, that's probably why my thing keeps crashing. I keep forgetting to do that, do the resource rebuild. Resource, the resource .map file format is different, and this functionality is no longer possible. This means when you save a resource, it replaces the old one. You should make sure to keep backups of your game absolutely positive as you develop it, or use a version control system. It should be noted, however, that SCI Companion just appends new resources to the resource package file. This means the old resource will take up space in the package file. They are not accessible. This is done because otherwise there would be performance costs to building an entire resource package file during every resource save. In summary, it is still useful to use tool rebuild resources to trim the package files down after a while. To run the game, press the green or red button in the toolbar. Use the game menu or press F5. This will run an executable that will specify the game's properties, dialogue. By default, the template game sets up in DOSBox with Sierra's executable as a target. The versions of SCI used in template games are 16-bit executable, which means they won't run on a modern 64-bit operating system. DOSBox can be used to run them in DOS emulator, and you can run them inside SCUM VM. SCI Companion has a profile for this too, and you can use the game properties dialog to switch to SCUM VM profile or set up your own custom way of running the game. I may try doing that. Right now I'm running it through DOS, but I would love to run it through SCUM. Creating a new game. To create a new game, choose the file. Create a new game. From there, you can choose two templates. SCI 0 will start you with the classic 16-bit EGA game with a text parser interface. EGA views can be easier to draw than VGA views, but SCI 0 picks background or vector graphics. Drawing good background can take some practice. This will start you with SCI 1.1. This will start you with a 256 VGA game with point-and-click interface, in-game text to provide message resources, background, bitmap instead of vectors, and digital audio and speech support. Excuse me. Pro tip. Though the scripting is very similar, the two template games are not compatible. They use different resource formats, so porting from one to the other would be tedious. So basically, if you were making an EGA game, you really, they're implying that, let's say you say, you know what, I want to make it a VGA game. You really can't take some of the resources from the EGA game SCI 0 and sort of import them into SCI 1.1. You can do it, but apparently it takes a lot more work. So anyway, let's see. Uh, Once you create the game, you'll be ready to run and compile it and start adding content. So now let's go to the next chapter, View Editor. This is the only one that I actually read, was the editor. Uh, Views are used for all graphical elements in the game: actors, props, icons, window borders, and more. Because they are so important, there is a significant amount of functionality devoted to them in SCI Companion. A view consists of one or more loops, each with one or more cells. In the loop is commonly used for animation sequence, such as the following walking animation. I think this is a character from Police Quest 2, I think. Can't remember. In this case, different loops with the same view are often used for different characters in a character is facing. So yeah, basically this is a sidewalk. So you also have like walking left, walking right, walking north, walking south, and if there's diagonals, and also the standing. Okay, so view editor layout. So this is the layout for the editor, and you see now. Does it tell you all the things? Let me just scroll through real quick. Okay, it does tell you the stuff. Like I said, I have tinkered with some of these things. Let me tell you, transparency, very important, but we'll get to that. In the center is the currently selected cell on which you draw. So this is the actual cell. This This is the actual cell. This is the actual sprite. And these two here are basically the selections. So you have this one and you have this one. And then you have the other animations that correspond with this. So you have these two here. So you would click on this and those two would appear here. And then you would click on this thing and those two would appear here and you can select them. On the bottom are the cells that are in the currently selected loop. To the right is the list of the loops that are in view. Clicking on any of these will set the currently selected loop or cell, and you can use the arrow keys to do this. Yeah, which is easier to do than just clicking. You can rearrange the loops and cells within the view by clicking and dragging them to a new position. The toolbox pan shows the palette and other controls used to manage the view. Finally, on top are the drawing controls common to views, fonts, and cursors. Drawing on the main view pane. Please read this section on drawing tools, blah blah blah. Okay, I think we'll get to that, but I don't know if I have to actually open it. Well, we'll see. But let me just look in the list. Let's see. It's probably in there somewhere. Anyway. Palettes. The current foreground and background drawings color are shown in the toolbox pane. Left clicking or right clicking on the color in the palette will set the foreground and background colors respectively. And currently select colors are highlighted in the palette along with the T marking the cell's transparent color. Yeah, that's very important. So, okay, I'm just going to mention this because this is a problem. Now, it's kind of tricky because this is the VGA one and this is the EGA one, but both very big problems. So when you're making like a background or anything that requires a transparency, and all the sprites are going to have transparencies because there's always going to be like sort of a green screen or blue screen or whatever. So you want to make sure that your background and your sprites do not use the color that you're going to be using for your transparency. So in this image here, the transparency is this light blue. And in this one here, it's this darker blue. But sometimes they use black. And then for the sprites, they use the next black next to it. So very important to make sure your transparency. I'm having some problems with some digital pixelation, so that's causing visual distortion. So hopefully I'll be able to figure that out while I'm reading this. EJ Views use a fixed 16 color palette. VGA Views uses a custom 256 color palette. When you create a new VGA view, there is no palette associated with it by default. It will just use palettes 999, the global palette. If you want to have a specific palette associated with it, you can do so by clicking and editing the palette button. You can remove an embedded palette using View and Remove Embedded Palette. That's interesting, actually. That might be helpful. Now, I don't know if that is for specific views or if that's for the overall palette. Hopefully we'll find out. Views mostly, what I mean by that is that, so when you open up, like, let's say you open up the character walk animation and stuff, and you're going to have, like, the color palette. You're going to have this one. This is the basic color palette. And, like, let's say it's not connected to it and stuff, and you make some changes or whatever, and then you go to the next animation and stuff. Will this change for that one, or is it only for that one frame? So, view, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway. Where was I? Views most commonly use the fixed color palette in the SCI 1.1 template game. These are the low 64 colors of palette 999. This lets, I'm going to make these an hour long and then I'm going to cut them, short or whatever. I don't know. This lets several views be on screen at once without any palette conflicts. By default, the view editor draws a view with embedded palette or palette 999. You can use any palettes in the game to render the view by choosing one from the backdrop list in the toolbox pane. If you want a view to use a different palette, but attempt to keep its current color as much as possible, you can use the View Remapper palette. This might be important. I think I have to tinker with that, because I've been drawing my stuff like in MS Paint or using A-Sprite for animation, and sometimes when I import the sprites into SCI Companion, they aren't the perfect color palette. They're not the ones associated with their colors, even though I am using their color palette. So I might be able to use that to fix the colors so that they are the right ones. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, VGA views use custom 256 colors when you create a new VGA. Okay, got it. Okay, remove. Okay. Views are most commonly just use fixed colors of the palette in the SCI 1.1 template game. These are the lower. Okay, I already read that. Default view editor. Okay, I read that. If you want to be okay, got it. Adding and removing cells and loops. The toolbox pane has buttons to add and remove cells. Those are the ones. They're referring to these right here, because you have the adds and removes. You could put it in the front or in the back. Toolbox pane has buttons adding and removing cell loops. Current views, newly created cell will be a copy of a currently selected cell, and you can change this so that it is filled with a transparent color by default. Oh, that might be good. I'll have to make sure I do that too. You can also delete the current cell by pressing the delete key. If you remove all the cells in the loop will be deleted, and you cannot remove all the loops. A view must have at least one loop with one cell. That is true. Importing images into an SCI viewer. See, this is another one that's very important. Images and image sequences or animated GIFs can be imported into both EGA and VGA views. Maybe I should just make them animated GIFs. I didn't even think of that. And cursors. Image formats supported includes JPEGs, PNGs, TIFFs, bitmaps, and GIFs. To import a single image to replace a current cell, use the Import Image button and Drawing toolbar to View menu. To import multiple images or animated GIFs and replace the entire current loop, use the Import Image on the toolbar. So I guess you can't do a sheet. Let's see. Maybe it has to make the sheet from the GIF. I don't know. In either case, you are first shown a file dialog that lets you choose one or more images once you've made your selection to import. Because when you extract them, you get like a sprite sheet with all the animations. So I don't know if they're actually separated or if they're combined together when they're, I don't know. Import images dialog offers full control over how these images are converted to restrict palette of SCI. In particular, these include control over which palette indicates to use, whether to map to a current palette or to generate a new palette. Sorry, I'm tired. The type of color and matching use. Optional dithering for limited color and palettes. That's if you're doing like EGA or whatever, 16-bit, or image with a alpha channel. I don't know what alpha channel is. Modifications to brightness, contrast, saturation, hue of the import. And I think you can edit them if you do make a change. If you select multiple images, they will be arranged in alphabetical order. The original image are displayed on the left and processed images on the right. You have three options for the palettes in the Import Image dialog. You can have an SCI companion generated a palette automatically, replacing the selected colors of the existing palette to the view. This is probably what I want to do. I don't want to replace them. This is only available for the VGA views. Let's see. Let me read that again. You can have SCI Companion generate a palette automatically, replacing the selected colors to the existing palette of the view. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if that means that it replaces the colors of the sprite, or if it replaces the color palette. I don't know. Well, we'll see. Let's see. You can try. See, these are the questions I have. You can try to map colors to select colors of the existing palette using either RGB or CCIR. So that's red, green, blue, and what the hell was CCIR? Hold on. I hate it when they use these abbreviations. Hold on, give me a minute. Because I have a program here on my computer. Nope, that's not it either. Where is it? Nope. Shuzbot! Okay, I can't remember what it is, but these are other colors. I just can't remember. Color matching. You can use, you know what? Let me look this up. Hold on. Pause. Because it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't look it up. Folder. Program. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? I want shortcuts. Program. That is not what I was looking for. Fuck. Program. Okay. I looked, I couldn't find it, so whatever. I can't remember what it was. I remember doing a thing where I wrote, I was looking something up. I think my dad was in the room when I was doing it. But I can't remember what it is. But this is an acronym for something. I know this is red, green, and blue. So, anyway. So you could try mapping the colors selected with the coloring. Is this a palette using... Okay. You can use the palette including the image file if available. For instance, GIF file may include a palette. This is only available for VGA. Oh, you know what? A GIF file. I should try importing with a GIF file. That might be better. In either of these cases, you have control over which indicates are affecting the existing palette. Because that's what I'm having the biggest problem with. Is I'm having a lot of graphical errors, and I think a lot of it is because of the color palette. If I could overcome that, it'll be fine. Okay, so in either of these cases, you have control over which indicates are affecting and the existing palette for this view. Okay, so this is the views are separated from each other. For VGA views, by default, the fixed colors specified in palette 999 are selected, and optional 2 above is the default. This is the most common case, as most views generally only use the fixed colors in palette 999. If you want to customize which indices are used, you can check or uncheck the Use Global Palette entry box to quickly control which palette indices are used, and you can manually select them in the palette and press refresh button. Note that if you change the palette, any option other than mapping in the existing palette, it will change the palette of the entire view and not just the cell or loop you're replacing. Yeah, see, that's kind of important. Yeah, okay, here's transparency. And like I said, when I figure this out, I will actually do videos where I actually show, because there's no videos on how to use this. This is it. If this didn't exist, you'd not know how to use it. There are no tutorial videos on SCI Companion. None. At least that I could find. I looked on YouTube. I looked around. I couldn't find anything. This is it. So, anyway. Transparency. By default, the current transparent color is used for the transparent parts of the image. You can change this for images with 8-bit alpha, and you can set the alpha threshold used to determine if a pixel or an opaque or transparent. By default, this is set to 128, which I assume is the black one. I'm not sure. Due to the limit SCI palettes, specifically EGA, you may want to enable dithering. Yeah, see, that's the reason why, is by using dithering, that'll give you a broader range of colors that would basically give you the possibility of other colors you wouldn't be able to do. Sort of fakes it, you know? Anyway, and, you know, I'll do a visual demonstration at some point, like I said, if I do a video and I learn how to do this. Okay, a comparison of this image, import into the view using default VGA palette for the template game. In addition to color dithering, you also have the alpha channel dithering. If you choose to enable the alpha dithering, you have a number of options for the dithering algorithm. An ordered dither is recommended to moving images, as the dithering matrix will then be stable from frame to frame. An image sequence from a particle effects software render out an image sequence and import into a VGA view in the SCI companion using alpha dithering. I like this fire. I don't know what it's from, but it looks familiar. Flame sequence imported into a 16-bit EGA using color dithering. Image adjustment. Okay, so here's the cool part, you know, the editing. Image adjustment for brightness, contrast, saturation, hue are provided. If the imported image is a tough match for current palette, adjusting these parameters might help. Pasting an image into a view cell. I don't know if these use layers. So this is art from well, essentially it's out low, but this is art from Leisure Suit Larry. I think this might be the SVGA game. I'm not sure. It might be the VGA version. I think it's a VGA version. The pixels are pretty big. And this blonde hair here is actually from the maintenance guy. I can't remember his name, but anyway, you can just paste an image on the clipboard directly into the cell. It'll appear in the selection react that you can move around, double click to commit to selection. This offers little control on how the color mapping is done. However, if you are pasting within a view or from one view to another, you can also edit and paste transparent, which will retain the transparency of the source cell. I don't know if that means that it's like a layer or if it permanently attaches. That I'm not really sure. See, for more control, you can choose View, Paste Special, Control B. This will also paste the clipboard image into a selection rectangle. However, it will first bring up the Import Image dialog to give you more control over the final result. Mirrors. Often the loops for different direction. Okay, so this is really cool. The mirrors thing is awesome because it saves time on importation of animation. So like, for instance, with if you have King Graham and he's walking east, and obviously he's also going to walk west. Well, east and west animations when he's walking left and right are identical. He's just flipped. So instead of you having to import him going left and import him going right, it'll automatically import the mirror image of the other one. And same thing with like diagonal and stuff like that with Leisure Suit Larry walking north. Walking south are different because there's no change in those frames. In the tool pane, you can choose to use the mirror combo to indicate the current. That's only if you want to do that. Like, let's say if for some reason maybe the character has hair covering one eye, then when they're walking the other way, that eye will be covered. And when you're walking the other way, the one eye will be covered, but the other eye will be exposed, you know. So there may be differences between the two sides, and you might not want to mirror it. Mirror of the combo to indicate that the current loop is mirrored image of another. Any manipulation or editing from one loop will immediately take effect with the other loop, which is pretty good, because if you do have to do some changes and adjustments, and I did that with one of my characters, the walk cycle was a little messed up or I had to change the color or whatever, you don't have to do it for every frame. It'll do it. It'll fix it with the other ones. So, transparency. Each cell can have one palette index marked as a transparent color. So you can only have one transparency. When it is drawn in the game, this will let the background show through. The transparent color can be set with a transparent eyedropper. So you have two eyedroppers. You have one to grab a color, and you have the one with a little T, and that is the transparency. And that will basically show as a T in that little color box to the left side of the screen, you know, in the editor. Or by choosing the color specifically, explicitly in the toolbox pane. Offset. By default, the offset cell is 0, 0. Since views are commonly used to draw in-game characters and locations of characters and is most closely associated with his or her feet, an offset 0, 0 corresponds to the bottom center of the cell. You can change a cell manually with the toolbox pane or use the placement drawing tool. Affects all cells. Now, like I said, I'm going to do this one chapter. Let's see, where am I right now in the chapters? Okay, I'm up to code. Alright, let's see. I got a few more minutes. Alright, I'll stop at pick editor. That should be a good stopping point. So I'll read pick editor and I'll stop at script editor. Will be the next one. I'll do another video next time. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Offset default. Offset of the cell 0, 0. Okay, I already read that. Alright. After all cells, or affect all cells. At the bottom of the tool pane is a checkbox to affect all cells in the loop. This will let you manipulate, draw on all cells in the current loop at once, even though only one current cell is shown in the canvas. This makes it easier to flood and fill areas common with all cells, resize all cells at once, or perform a mass replacement with one color with another, which that one I'm going to have to do. One color for another. Very important. To map the current pixel location or the pixel location to another cell, SCI Companion uses the offset or placement values of the cell. This forms an origin. So I'll have to see what that means, how to actually do that. But I think they're going to show it now. Okay, here it is, color shifting. Often you want to make different color versions of a view. For example, to change the clothes color of the character, uses the same palette. SCI makes this easy, allowing you to shift colors in a current cell, loop the entire view, view shift colors will bring up a color shift dialog. Oh, okay, it opens up the screen. Dots are shown on the palette indice that they are used by the current cell loop. Okay, so that's good. So basically it has that, and then it has the change. So it has the two. And you can select a range of colors in the palette and move them around as a group with the arrow keys. So that is really cool. I'm definitely going to have to use that. Select the reddish pixels and move them so that they are in the yellow part of the palette. Oh, okay, I see. This section implies that SCI 1.1 only. Scalable views. Alright, so this is important. So the tool lets you specify whether a view is scalable or not. A scalable view can be reduced in size in-game and give the effect of the character walking off in the distance. In one place view, resource numbers are used is when you declare class, view, prop, or actor instance. So here is the code. So you got instance, electric post of prop, properties, view, 3 views, 2 loops, X 136, Y 137, Wow, this is like the Commodore 64. The signal ing act, noun n electra electric post. I don't know what any of that means. Or when you add an icon to the dialog, it's print, show view 34, loop 1, and cell 0. At cell 00, add icon 234 1300 int, or when setting up the ego. Yeah, I don't know any of this stuff, so I don't. Am I on code? Okay, so I'm gonna do pick editor. This is the next one I'm doing. Okay. Oh wait. Okay, drawing tools. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'm not on that yet. Okay. So I'm still on view editor. All right. So now I'm on drawing tool. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay. Well, we'll keep going and we'll get it. Okay. So let's do drawing tools for views. Fonts and circles. Okay, so I'll save selection and resizing for the next video. So I'll just end with this one. The view and the font and the cursor editors all share the numbers of drawing tools that operate in a simple manner. And I love how they show a picture of them and tell you what they do, which is important. So don't dilly-dally with this thing without learning it. Choosing a color. The foreground and background color uses the drawings are set by the left and right clicking on the palette, tool pane, box pane. A drawing tool generally draws you with a foreground color when left clicking and drag, and the background color when right clicking and dragging. Pen style. You can choose the current pen style in the tool pane, box pane. When drawing lines or shapes outline, this is the controls the thickness of the line or outline. Pen. This lets you draw freehand, which is the one I prefer, on your canvas with the foreground color. The current pen size and shape can be set in the left hand pane. Line. This one lets you draw lines with the current foreground color and pen size. Flood. This is basically the paint bucket. The flood fills the area with the canvas with the foreground color. Replace color. This lets you draw over the section of the canvas, replacing the color that matches the background color and the foreground color. By double-clicking into the image, all colors that match the foreground are replaced. Ooh, that's a good one. I didn't even know the double-clicking. Oh, that's how you flip. I've been flipping it in MS Paint. Now I don't have to do it. Okay, you can flip the canvas horizontally or vertically with this tool. That's good. If you have a character and you need to flip it, there you go. Dithering. The dithering button lets you draw from both the foreground and background color, where normally only the foreground color would be used. Other than the obvious uses, one thing this lets you do is easily make the view that is half transparent by specifying one color as being transparent color. This only applies to views and cursors, and the minus and plus keys can be used to adjust the dithering reach. Okay, so that might be that there might be something to that transparency thing, because I had Leisure Suit Larry 6 VGA doesn't really have too much dithering, but Leisure Suit Larry 6 SVGA, more specifically with the talk portraits, like Larry and stuff, there is some dithering in the portrait, and that was what I was running into. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe the transparency is messing it up. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Shape tools. 6 different tools are available. Rectangle, ellipse, round, rectangle. Each can be hollow or solid. There's also circles. Normally the shape will be anchored to the top left or bottom right. If you hold shift while drawing, the shape will be centered around the point you click. Invert. This inverts the colors on the canvas. This available with EGA resources. Grayscale. This converts the image to grayscale. Only available in EGA. Zoom. This can zoom in or out with the tool by left-clicking or right-clicking. Zooming can also be accomplished with Control and minus, Control plus, or the mouse wheel while holding the Control key. Eyedropper. The eyedropper will let you set the foreground and background colors by left or right clicking the image. Transparent eyedropper. This will let you set the current transparent color by clicking on a color in the image. Yeah, you have to click it in the image. You can't do it from the color palette, by the way. Just food for thought, whatever. Placement. This lets you set the hotspot or center of the views or cursor by clicking the image. It does not apply to fonts. So yeah, this is kind of important because it sets where the character will stand. And usually, like, if it's like Leisure Suit Larry or whatever, it'll be like on the bottom, and obviously not in the top because he stands on his feet, not his head. Anyway, import image sequence. This lets you import the sequence of images or animated GIFs into a loop. See import images. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Import images. This lets you import a single image into a cell. See import images. Animate. This brings up a dialog that animates the current loop of the views. Okay, so now we'll go to the next one. Okay, now we're up to resizing. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here because it's been an hour, and I'm not going to make this any longer really. So I'm going to make it just an hour for each one. So I hope you enjoyed this video of part 1 SCI companion tutorial. You can see we got a long way to go, but you know, hopefully I'll figure this out and I'll be able to give you a better overview, and I may put this on YouTube or something. So you have a wonderful day, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.